Okay, we're all set on YouTube.
All right. Should we start with the pledge of the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States,
Public for which it
and
stands.
to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope you guys had a great day so far, and that the snow did not interrupt your routine as much as it did with many others. I wanted to just mention that the crew the whole day trying to get this out because of the fast rate that the snow was falling. They had to go multiple times, and they were not able to clear everything as expeditiously as possible, but they were up the whole day, and I think way into the night after midnight. And I went out there last night at around 11 o'clock, and I saw that they were working very hard, and the streets start looking a lot better. County and town, and also around midnight to the last
been almost a 48-hour storm
round. So we did well. As far as COVID rates are coming down, we're no longer in yellow zone, which is great news. I would ask everyone to continue doing their hard work of staying away from one another, really not to gather in small or large gatherings, and please continue wearing your masks. The news of the day was that today it was the suggestion is not the suggestion, but the new regulation allows for people that work in the restaurants and also taxi drivers are now eligible to receive the vaccine. I hope that we can get these vaccines here in Great Neck. We did send a letter, a location to the health department in Nassau County. We're waiting for them to respond, and as soon as we have any response, we will let everyone know. With that, I would like to start the meeting.
So Mayor, the first item on the agenda is a request to put a stop sign at the corner of Gould Street and Preston Road. This issue came in front of the board about a month and a half ago, and we went into executive session, and now we are back to revisit this item. The reason for the request is, as you could see, oh, you don't see it. Let me just share my screen. As you could see, the school is located here on a Polo Road, and the student drive down on a Nirvana, and then they turn onto Gould Street, and they want to turn right on Preston or left to go to Brokaw to reach the Middle Neck Road. There is no stop sign at this intersection, as you could see in just a moment. As you could see, there is no stop sign at this corner. Therefore, there's a request that please Village consider putting a stop sign at this corner to be.
So there's no stop sign anywhere, or just anywhere in this?
nowhere at that intersection.
No.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, I think it should be a three-way stop sign.
No. I think just one
Just
way.
to go to Preston?
Yes,
Maybe it should be on Gould and not on Preston, just on
yes,
Gould.
on Gould, not on Preston.
How fast?
Yeah, let
people
Preston
go?
go full through,
Preston
yeah.
is not so bad. Okay. It's not a big.
Yeah, I don't know, are they complaining that they're speeding on Preston too? In that case, maybe you could put something there to break it up. But
Well,
Louis would tell us that's not the purpose of a stop sign.
there's a
know.
sign on Henry Street and what Gould doesn't have, and there is one right here on Preston turning onto Brokaw.
Oh, so okay, so then you don't need one at that. So I think one at Gould going to Preston would suffice.
Okay. Peter? Peter, you're muted. Okay.
I'm back. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Is there a motion to authorize the Public Works Department to place a stop sign at that intersection of Gould and Preston, right?
I do.
Preston Hill,
Item has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections or abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you.
The next
I
item
think
on
the
the
next
agenda.
item is. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Peter. Sorry.
Well, the public hearing, I think, was noticed for 8 o'clock, correct?
I believe it was 7:45.
Abraham?
Right, remember it was 7:45
I
or 8?
I believe it was
Ah,
7:40,
45, I think.
right on the money.
Excellent.
You have another.
In that case, we're right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Mayor, at this time, it would be appropriate to have a motion to open up a public hearing in connection with a proposed local law for a tax cap override. Is there a motion to open up the public hearing?
I make a motion.
Moved by trustee Mendelson. Any second?
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or objections? Hearing none, it's unanimous. Mayor, this is a proposed local law that would authorize the Board of Trustees to enact a budget that exceeds the tax cap. This local law does not cause an increase in taxes. This local law does not cause an increase above the tax cap limit set by New York State. It merely allows the board at a future date to do so should the board find it necessary. So it is a very limited purpose local law. It is an authorization. It does not by itself take any action. Does any board member have any comment or question about the local law?
No, thank you for explaining it. There is some confusion among the residents. And thank you for explaining that this law does not mean that we're exceeding the tax cap. However, it does give us protection in the event, we haven't done a budget yet, so we don't know what's coming. And in the event we had to exceed the tax cap and we did not do this, we would not be able to, and therefore we can end up losing services or employees or who knows what. So this is always a much better thing to give us the room to adjust the budget as necessary, but we have no intention of doing it.
Right. Another thing is we
Thank
have passed
you.
this law. We have passed this every year. I'm sure before me as well. And I can say that for the past 3 or 4 years, actually for 4 years now, we have not increased the taxes. So this is just precautionary. We don't believe that we're going to use it, but it has to be there anyway.
Mayor, as this is a public hearing, it would be appropriate to determine whether any member of the public wishes to address the proposed local law. Brian or Abraham, anyone indicating they want to speak?
Yes, Mr. Zellenziger.
David, just unmute, state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. David Lenziger, 15 Beach Road. I have just a couple of questions. I know the state controller sets the tax cap for the villages every year. So what is the tax cap for 2021? What percentage has the state controller given you?
Mayor, can I answer that question?
Yes, please.
So I'm going to share with you my screen. This screen shows you what the tax cap formula is. It basically, if you would like, I can go through it. But you can see that it is the prior year taxes plus any reserve offset. The reserve offsets are the amount of the tax cap that was pierced in a prior year, less the reserve amount, time the tax base gross factor. Now, the tax base gross factor is determined by the New York State Comptroller's Office. To that amount, we have to add the pilot receivable in a prior fiscal year, which is a 2021, less any tort exclusion. These are any amount that the court have determined that the village has to pay. Time the allowable levy growth factor. Again, that is 1.02, less any pilot receivable in the following year, that's in 2021, plus any carryover. That will give us the tax levy limits. Now, if you look at this page, this is the page that I've prepared. It is ready to be, it's not ready, but I've calculated it on the website with the, sorry about that. I just lost that page. Here it is. Okay. The prior year levy was 7.3 million with all the calculation and available carryover from fiscal year 2021. The tax cap would be 7,548,880, which is about 243,000 more than a prior year. That means if the board wishes, and if they can, during the preparation of the budget, they can raise the taxes. Again, that does not mean they are going to, but without piercing the tax cap, the tax levy can increase by 243,000, which is equivalent of 3.33% of the current year total levy. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does, because you're the treasurer and you did the math. But the point is, it's still within a narrow boundary, which sounds fine. But then the question is, one of the trustees said you haven't even been preparing the budget yet. But I presume now that it's February, you will be. So now that you are going to be preparing the budget, and there might be some, say, increases in personnel, or to add new capital equipment, or the whole new village hall thing, is there any thought that you might have to exceed it? Or is the thought that the current planning, as of today, I realize you haven't finished the budget, that you'll be able to come in and meet the tax cap? And not exceed it.
Can I answer partially? Sorry.
So I just want to say something, and then Abraham can continue. I think one of the things that we have done, we've been extremely careful about, not to only exceed the tax cap, but also not to actually increase the rate or increase our tax levy. That said, based on after all things are calculated, we have to make sure that we're not putting the village into any kind of a distress financially. So that's the decision. Obviously, we have to make these laws today and pass what we are passing tonight. And as far as are we going to increase the taxes or not, I don't think we are at that level at that point to really make that determination. But I can ask Abraham to give other comments if he has.
I would just add that it's really not a fair question at this point, before we've even begun deliberating on the budget yet. How can you possibly know? So, if you want to answer to the best of your knowledge, that's fine, but it's really not a fair question at this point in time.
It's not an answer to the question. It's just two comments. Number one, the capital equipment that you mentioned, David, there is a bond issued in 2018 that there is still funds available that the
Correct.
capital equipment can be purchased from that. Regarding your other question that why the budget has not been prepared yet, we are a June fiscal year, and June fiscal year budget call does not go out till first or second week of February. So we are not late. It's just the process hasn't started yet. According to the New York State Comptroller's Office guide, the budget call will go out first or second week of February. So we are not late in that sense.
Thank you, and thank you for providing me with some information that I had previously requested.
Sure.
I'd like to know how many legislators in Albany could explain the tax cap formula to anybody.
Very few.
Is there anybody else from the public who would like to comment? Just unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please. I don't have any other comments, Mayor.
All right, great, thank you. So
Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I move.
Second.
Any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I believe that's unanimous, so the public hearing is closed. At this time, Mayor, it would be appropriate if you wish to entertain a motion to adopt the local law.
Yes, please.
I'll move it.
Moved
Second.
by-
And
Move.
is there a second?
Second.
Yes, seconded by Steve Hope.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, I believe the local law has passed unanimously.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a
Abraham, back to you.
Thank you. The next item is a request from Great Neck Police Athletic League to install a banner across Middle Neck Road. I'm going to put the picture up. Currently at the same location, we have the request to wear a mask. The PAL is asking for the banner to go up from March 1st through April 15th. And you could see the banner on your screens.
Sorry, where is
Is
this
there any
banner going up at?
questions from?
Willie's Lane.
Willie's Lane? I think I've seen
Yeah.
this previously, correct?
Yes.
It's fine.
I used to do judo in COVID time. Remote judo.
Yeah, Steve, I know that you're involved with this. Are we going to have any soccer team, soccer games and stuff like that in the?
We want to have a spring season. I don't know if we're going to be able to have teams or we're going to have individual just practices. So we're working on it, but we want to have a spring season.
Uh-huh. I mean, listen, if the state allows it,
I don't know.
and, you know, I know that the kids are going to school and the school is open and they do have some activities. I'm hoping that the numbers go down significantly, and hoping that people who can get the vaccine are getting the vaccine. All right, listen, I don't have a problem with this. Obviously, we have to see what the state allows.
Yeah, whatever we're allowed and what give the school facilities anymore. So we have to outside activities, and we can't have a basketball team. So we have basketball practice. Each individual people have their own balls, all kinds of stuff like that. No passing the ball. So we just trying to work things.
Okay, listen,
Can we
I
give
don't have
everybody a yo-yo?
Was that
Give everybody a yo-yo. A yo-yo?
right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what we end up doing. Just bounce your basketball. That's it.
All right. I think it's fine. I'll move to have this approved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I believe it's passed unanimously. The next item on the agenda is a request from the Park District also to install a banner across Middle Neck Road at Woolies Lane to promote a summer camp between April and August. I told them that we might not be able to put it up for that long. So the amount of the time that you would like to allocate to the Park District is up to you. I'm going to put up the banner that they are requesting to put up across Middle Neck Road. You should see it now on your screens. This is to promote the 2021 summer camps run by the Park District.
So this is April, May, June, July, and August, the whole 5 months, or not?
They requested that it should be up. I told them that probably we won't be able to keep it that long. But maybe a month and a half, just right after the PAL banner comes down in the middle of April, maybe this can go up through the end of May, maybe.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, a month and a half, I think, is sufficient.
well, no, we have 2 spots for banners. And the summer camp is great, and it does really run through the summer. Like, I know a lot of people that really took advantage of it last summer. And it was a big relief to a lot of families. So,
No, we're not against it, Bart. I'm just saying, I don't know if we have anybody else that we allow to have their banners up for 5 months.
I understand. I understand the issue. I certainly don't have a problem with them starting in April. Of course, there was always a question whether we would have a street fair or not this year, but it really doesn't look like we would. So. At least not in not May or June.
So, I mean, they're going to have to put it down by, I think, around Woolies, right? That's where, because the other one is going up by the park, correct?
Right. So they could run at the same time, is what you're saying.
The one on the south side, one on the north side. I don't have an issue with that either. We can leave it up for a month or so, month and a half, 2 months.
Okay.
Okay, so we can, Abraham, we probably can put this one on the south side, unless they want it on the north side. If that's what they wanted, they have to.
No, they want it at Woolies.
They want it at the Woolies? So,
Yeah.
okay, fine. So we put it at the Woolies.
So we can put it up after the PAL, which will go up March 1st through April 15th. This can go up on April 15th when they take the other one down. And the camp starts on June 28th. So maybe you want to keep it up through, right, April, May, and June.
Okay, that's fine.
And if we don't have a need for the space, we could decide
They
to
could just stay up, right.
All right.
Is there a motion to install the banner?
Aye.
Anyone would like to second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. There are no other businesses under new business. The next item is the minutes. I'm going to put it up. These are the minutes for January 5th meeting. Please let me know when to move to the next page.
Next. Is Steve on?
Yes.
Okay, Steve, you know that, yeah, Steve Haramis. Steve,
Steve, unmute
Yes,
yourself.
yes, I got it.
right. I know that this has been going back and forth. What's going on with the Yehuda Cafe?
So, like I said, a notice was sent out. Summonses are going to be issued. We did not have work yesterday due to the snow, but summonses will be issued tomorrow.
Okay. Have you been able to reach the owner?
He has not returned any calls.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. All right, next page, please. Next. Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 5th meeting?
Move.
I'll move.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Thank you, passed unanimous. The next item is the abstract for this coming Friday, February 5th. Going to put it up in just a moment.
I have no questions. I make a motion to accept the abstract.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Mayor, I'm sorry. Did you?
Yes.
Thank you. Passed unanimously. Public comments?
If anybody would like to speak, just unmute yourself, please, and state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, David Slenzinger, 15 Beach Road. I have a comment and then I have some questions. My comment is just that I've noticed that especially that there are a number of, before the snow, it seems to be that the CVS property on Middle Neck Road on the west side is just filled with litter and debris, and it's absolutely never cleared up. I mean, right now with the snow, you can't see it, but I'm wondering if something could finally be done about that. And the second thing is that so many of our shops on Middle Neck Road, this is particularly on the east side, seem to kind of have their windows filled with all kinds of like notice boards and 8x11 papers and other kinds of things that makes them look rather unsightly. And you don't see that sort of stuff in classy downtowns like in Roslyn or in Garden City. I don't know what the code says about it. Oh, by the way, where the former, the new business is some kind of physical therapy in the former.
David, I'm sorry, 1 second, please. Can everybody mute themselves? There's a background noise coming in. If you're not speaking, please just mute yourself. Thank you. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, no. When I also, for instance, too, in that former delicatessen on Middle Neck, just south of Beach, with the two storefronts, and the name at this second slips me. There's now like a new physical therapy practice there. But the windows, like both sides, are filled with, you know, big displays for the names of the doctors and so on. I don't know what the code says about displays and all that, but this board makes a big deal about the exterior signs and all that. Is there anything that can be done so that we can kind of clean it up and make it look more appealing to shoppers and residents?
Steve, I know that the code allows up to a certain percentage of the windows to be covered. I think there's certain things you can or cannot do. I think if there's anything that the code does not allow, I think must be discussed with the store owners. And if there's something that they must have, they need to bring it to the board's attention to get permission to have it to have that continued. So I leave that up to Steve to make sure that this gets looked into.
I will look into that.
Thank you, Steve.
But I'm also thinking, though, that, in an informal way, if, say, some of the trustees might visit some of the businesses or the Chamber of Commerce or something like that, this is more like an aesthetic thing rather than, say, a legal enforcement thing. But I think it would add to the community. Now, my questions are basically, at the last meeting, you indicated that we had quite a number of proposals come in for the RFP for the new Village Hall. So now that you've had 2 weeks to study them, can you tell me the range of the bids in terms of how much money these various bidders are bidding to the village? And have you narrowed down among the 11 or so that there's some that look more promising than others, and you're going to discuss matters with them?
So we are getting the presentation from them. It's not only their RFP that they're sending us. Obviously, we have to get the presentation and the questionnaire. We are doing that. We are actually in the process. We have not completed the process. We are going to narrow it down eventually to, I think, 3 runner-ups. And then at that time, we are going to get more information from them as how much it's going to cost. The cost that they're giving us, it's not necessarily the cost of the building, but the cost of the architecture and the planning. We will get to those in, the final numbers or estimate of final numbers in the next couple of, I would say, couple of months. It's not a very fast process because, you have to get them to present it, and we have to ask the questions and see which ones. And I tell you, it's not an easy process because they're all amazing, and all these presentations. And I'm glad to tell the people in the village that really we have very high class architectural companies that have approached us and are really willing to do this Village Hall. They're taking it extremely seriously. So are we. I think this is something that is going to really represent our village for the next century. So we are taking it seriously. It's not, I can't really tell you, David, that we can make the decision the next week. I wish we could. But the fact that so many people showed interest, so many companies, really first-class companies showed interest is really it's very interesting to us, and we are taking it seriously to make the proper decision, and it's not going to be a quick decision.
And by high-class companies, I'm hoping that you mean that these are companies with experience
Obviously,
in designing municipal structures and large projects and so on, and that they know what they're doing.
Yes, they all have presented to us the other municipal buildings that they have built and other buildings that they've done. Many of them, again, these are not architects that do houses. These are architects that have done many large projects and a lot larger than our Village Hall. Yes, so I want to let everyone know that this has come up really to my surprise. I mean, I thought we were going to get 1 or 2 people who show interest, and we've gotten, I believe 11, and they're really high class and first class architects. So I'm glad to say that we have a difficult choice to make because they're all great, and their rendering that they've sent us been unbelievably nice to look at. So we are going to hopefully in the next month or so come up with the 3 runner-ups that we're going to study further.
Okay, and one last question. You know, I always ask about it. The building is one thing, but you're not going there without 100 years worth of records. Is there been any kind of progress in solving that problem, the digitization and moving question?
Well, we have had the estimate that was given to us a while ago. And, you know, depending on what we're going to take and what we're not going to take, we have to make a decision of how many of those records we're going to digitize. I believe that all the numbers must be done. I'm sorry, all the charts must be digitized. And have we moved forward with it? Not as of yet, but I have asked Abraham to continue looking into it and see how we can do this in a steady fashion to try to get it done before we make the move.
Also keep in mind the you know, if it's not completed by the time we move, the new building would offer us a much better facility for getting a lot of this done in terms of space and appropriate room that would be needed to do this kind of thing.
Right. So exactly what Bart said. The village hall that we're going to build is going to be a lot larger than the one that we have, and it's going to have a significant amount of storage room. And instead of having the archives stored in different areas, we can actually archive them in the same place. So if the cost is going to be significant, we can continue archiving them in the same manner we are doing today. But again, I think the safer thing is to really try to digitize them, you know, but the cost would be an issue. We don't have to do all of them at the same time. We can do it in a few years, or we can do some and not others. All those things are going to be decided, but I don't think we are really pressed to make that move at this time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sam, I see you have your hand up. Just state your name and
Thank you.
please.
Thank you. Sam Yellis, 2 Hollies Lane. I'm just asking about the Thursday night. There's a rumor that the BZA is moving ahead with a decision on 733, 741 without any legal notification that it's on the agenda. Could that be spoken to at all here?
I can't speak for BZA, but I don't think that they would go and do any kind of a public meeting without proper notification.
No, they certainly shouldn't be. I mean, that's what took us by surprise. Mr. B, any knowledge on this, Mr. B?
Peter?
Peter, unmute, please.
Okay. It took a minute to unmute, my apologies. I know that I saw it on the agenda, but it is my understanding, and Mr. Haramis, maybe you can also address it. I understand that there's been discussion regarding that notice, and the board will make a decision about whether to go forward or not. But to my knowledge, no final decision has been reached. Mr. Haramis, are you aware of any final decision on that?
Postponed. It'll be postponed till next month. Or adjourned.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much. Everybody stay warm and safe in the snow. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Is it Alan? Yep, go ahead. Unmute yourself, state your name and
Yeah,
address.
Alan Lauren, 30 Stoner Avenue. Hello, everyone. I was very reticent to bring this up, but I think it's a major health issue, and I just really wanted to get some feedback. I was in Everfresh Market 2 weeks ago just to buy some bread, and they were having a daily minion. They have it every day at 3:30. I didn't know about it until I spoke to the manager. There were 2 rows of men, six men in each row, 12 men, 2 feet apart, crowded into the bakery section. And I was very, very uncomfortable going there to buy bread. In fact, nobody would move. And when they did, I just didn't want to get involved. So I just dropped my groceries and left the store. And I called the manager after. I said, why are you doing this? You've got people working there. You've got customers. You know, when people are praying, I don't want anyone not to pray, but people are praying together. They're expurgating aspiration. And they told me the mayor was aware of it. Mr. Mayor, I don't know. You might cursorily know about it, but I think it is a health issue. 12 men in a small, I imagine poorly ventilated area. The bakery goods section is a small room in an already small supermarket. That's why they probably go there, because it's off the center, off the beaten path. But I didn't feel comfortable shopping in that section. And one guy had his mask completely off his nose, and it was just I don't know what your thoughts are, whether that's allowed or.
Well, based on the recommendation from what I have heard, when people go shopping, they must have a proper distance from one another, and they must be wearing a mask. If those things are observed, if the mask and the social distancing 6 feet apart and a mask is observed, then it is allowed. And that's what the recommendation is. Now, if people are not wearing their mask properly, or not wearing a mask, or put it under their chin, or not covering their nose, that I don't know how you can enforce that. I can't really say what is really allowed, what should happen or not, because the state makes those determinations, not the village. If the state allows that kind of a socialization, then that the state allows it. One of the reasons I was against many of the gatherings that was allowed by the state is because it's extremely difficult to monitor who is wearing a mask, how they're wearing a mask, if they're wearing a mask at all. And I think that was one of the mistakes that the state made in the beginning by allowing gatherings, or certain number of gatherings of 50 people. Now, 50 people in a small area dancing together is, even though allowed by law, when people are not wearing a mask, no one can really enforce anything. Praying in an area, in an enclosed area, people are wearing a mask and sitting far apart, that is not against the state law. So as long as those rules are being abided to, or they're abiding by those rules, then there should not be an issue.
They're not, though. They're 2 feet apart, 2 rows of, they're 12 men in a condensed area, 2 feet apart from each other. If you saw it, it almost looks like a Zoom screen. That's how close they were. They couldn't possibly in that small space stand 6 feet apart in 2 rows. It was impossible. And the customers, like me, I was really, really uncomfortable. I shouldn't have to look. They should go outside. I know it's winter time, but there's no reason for them to be inside congregating, davening in that small area. There are people working there.
Right. There are temples around, very close by. If they
and there's a parking lot too.
Well, I don't know if they can go in the cold in the parking lot, but I think what they can do really is to spread the people apart, not to be condensed. Right. And they can't.
Impossible in that space.
Well, again, I don't know where the space is. I haven't been there where they daven, so I haven't seen that. But I think that's something that I will bring up with the manager.
It's in the baked goods section. It's just by the bread, a very small area in one small aisle. You can't avoid them.
The whole people, everybody stand in one aisle?
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, it's one. There are 2 rows in the one aisle in front of the bread, in 2 rows, 2 feet apart, not less than 2 feet. The front and back rows are probably 1 foot apart, 2 feet apart. But they're next to each other in 2 rows, 6 feet apart. You can't shop there if you want to stay safe. And they're praying too. It's not, that's one of the other recommendations. If you're singing, if you're, talking loudly, there's aspiration going into the air. And it's really, really uncomfortable. I was really surprised because we're asking for it. We're really asking for it. And, there's no reason for it.
I will bring it up with the management this week. Thanks for bringing it up to our attention.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Anybody else have any other comments? I don't see anybody else here, Mayor.
All right. All right, everybody, be safe. If there are no comments from the
Motion to
board,
adjourn.
Peter,
Is there a motion to adjourn?
moved by Bart, seconded by me.
Awesome.
All.
Any objections or
Oh, you know what? I do want to make one,
Unanimous.
hold on, before we go. I'm sorry, I know everybody wants to leave.
You made the motion, Bart.
Sorry, Bart.
No, I know. I want to squeeze this in because people should know that the first LED crosswalk sign has gone in at the crosswalk across from Everfresh, heading north.
Yeah, I
think
saw that.
it's-
Very obvious.
I'm looking forward to the one on the I'm sorry, that was heading south now.
No, going south. The one that
Oh,
is now is
go south.
LED lights on heading south.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting one in the island and one on the other side. I think we're getting one on the island, right, Abraham?
No, I think we're just getting one on the north side.
No, there's another one.
There
That's
should
going
be
in on the other
one in
side.
the island. There should be one in the island because the problem is that a truck or other vehicle could block the view of a vehicle.
Right. I think the one on the island is not LED. There is one there.
No, it could be LED because there should be one in the island that's LED. We have room for it. And there's
I know, but
solar.
the one in the island, there's one currently in the island. I saw it last night.
That's the old
It's
one.
not LED.
That's the old one.
Okay, so we're getting an
Abraham, are
LED.
we getting one in the island with LED?
I thought we're getting only two, one on south, one on north.
Right.
I think the
right.
island one is actually the better one to have.
It has to be in the island. I'm sorry, we have to order another one.
Either that or we can just put one in the island.
Right.
I think the one in the island is visible.
No,
a lot-
because the island has to be both directions.
Right, so you can have both directions.
Okay.
I will hold on the next meeting to get one. Well, we need two because it has to be two-sided. You have
Correct.
to put it back to back on the island then.
Now, Bart, let me ask everybody on the board, if we have one on the island that is two-sided, do we need the ones on the sides? I mean, do we really need three? Or we need one in the island that is visible on both sides, now northbound and southbound?
One on the island, visible to both sides. I mean, you don't need more than that. It's flashing anyway, so I don't think you need more than that.
My only concern is a large vehicle in one lane blocking the view of a vehicle in the other lane. That's all.
Meaning like, so you want to have one on the curb and one on the island and one on the other curb?
It would be my preference. I understand there's a big cost involved, so.
Also,
right,
it's like
let's see.
that's overkill.
Let's discuss
You
it
know,
with,
Well, just something to throw out there, Bart and Mayor, is that at some point, the county will be putting up the larger signs at that intersection, the crosswalk.
that's what I want to mention also. By
Maybe.
next summer, they're going to put those.
I understand. It's just, it was my understanding or misunderstanding that we were gonna get something more noticeable in the island because that is where the problem is.
right. And I also want to let.
Problem is if a vehicle stops for a pedestrian that's beginning to cross the street, and that vehicle is an SUV, and the individual crossing the street is smaller than that SUV, the vehicle that's in the left lane will not see the person crossing the street.
Right. So that's a good point. And I tell you, we do have other areas that we would like to put these solar LED light pedestrian signs. So when the county comes and does our road, I believe this summer, we can actually go ahead and move those, as I spoke to Louis, to the locations we would like to. I'm sure we probably need something like that on Baker, close to the school, and by Polo, close to the school, in those areas to have these flashing LED lights. So we'll discuss it to see if we can put another one in the aisle. But for now, let's install these two, which I believe are large enough and bright enough that anyone who's driving would be able to see.
Okay, yeah, they're great. Anyway, that was my comments on the motion to adjourn.
Okay, so can we move with the motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I'll move it.
Okay,
Second.
seconded by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Have a great night.